Okay, I'd like to share with you our experience in the DIT in terms of how we have been doing our information literacy over the last 15 years. So I said 10 years plus, just to kind of have a catch phrase in that. Okay. So our information literacy in the DIT, just like any other library, started a long time ago, but the embedded sessions started in 2003 when we started with a program in accounting and finance. And we started this program when this accounting and finance program was introduced. And we negotiated with the program coordinators to have 7 one-hour information literacy classes. And we actually cut our teeth into this at the start. And from then on, all our sessions were actually timetabled onto the program. So it wasn't a question of wanting to negotiate times. It was actually put into the program. And the students knew from the first day that they were coming to the library on specified dates for information literacy. And the good thing is when we started at the beginning, we actually negotiated that for this to be effective, it has to be assessed. And 10% of the marks for a module where we were part of were set aside for information literacy. So this did make a huge difference in how we actually got involved in this. And from 2003 up to now, we are still part of it and we are still going strong. But over the years, there have been some changes that we have effected in this program. So actually, although we did develop what we thought was a very good program in 2003, it has seen so many iterations over the years. Actually, it is in a state of constant flux because there are changes that are necessary and we have been implementing those. One of the major changes in our information literacy happened in 2007. Although from 2003, 4, 5, and 6, we've had some minor changes, but the most significant change happened in 2007 when DIT decided to develop an information literacy policy across all the DIT libraries. We have 6 individual libraries, and prior to that, our information literacy wasn't coordinated. So in 2007, we did decide to develop a policy that was going to be implemented across all the 6 libraries. So this was basically to promote and implement the information literacy that we have come up with across the 6 libraries. So a colleague of mine was tasked to look at how we've been doing things from 2003, then also compare how we're doing our information literacy to how everyone else in Ireland and everyone else basically in the profession were doing it. So it was just kind of to measure to see if we were doing the right thing so that we were not kind of in our own bubble. We're just doing what the profession was doing. And that colleague of mine was also tasked to come up with a suite or a menu of programs that could easily be adaptable to various situations across the 6 libraries. And also to identify if there were any needs for training amongst the library staff who were engaged with information literacy. So out of all that, we did come up with a suite of 11 individual sessions or classes that we thought encompasses all that information literacy covers. And we actually used these 11 classes as discussion points with academics. Colleen earlier on said in her place, academics would want you to cover so many things in a very short period of time. So we used this as a marketing tool to say, hey, this is what we can deliver to you. So when you come to us, we can only do these, each one of these within 1 hour. So therefore, it removed that element of wanting us to do a million things in 20 minutes. Okay. So then when those 11 one-hour classes was developed, we also tried to merge each one of those classes into the National Framework of Qualifications. Each one of the sessions, where do they fall? Do they fall under level 5, level 6, level 7, level 8? Because for those who do not know DIT, it offers programs from certificate to PhD. So all the classes that we had identified kind of could easily slot into various levels. And it did help us focus our minds. And also we looked at developing learning outcomes for each of the 1 hour sessions that we had identified. And this actually helped us in terms of marketing our information literacy programs to the academics. By so doing, we were actually talking their language. When we were talking about learning outcomes, they did see that we knew what we were talking about. And from our experience, it did help to shape our information literacy so that we fit in with the programs that were on offer. And like I said, every other time we have been making some changes, some of them major, some of them a bit cosmetic, but this academic year we did also made some major changes to our information literacy program, and we looked at the graduate attributes that DIT as a whole had identified amongst students who would graduate from DIT. And we then tried to place each of our information literacy programs within those graduate attributes so that when we are delivering our information literacies, we'll be focusing on what DIT wants the graduate to leave DIT with. And with all this, over the years, it did lead to a huge demand for our services in terms of delivering information literacies. In 2003, we started off with one embedded program, but over the years, the number has been increasing. 2004, we added another one. Then 2007, a few more were added. And right now, we are offering our embedded session programs to 8 programs within the College of Business in the DIT. So effectively, because of this, we actually realized that we were victims of our own success in terms of delivering information literacy within the College of Business. So the changes that we've been making over the years did make a contribution in this, because we were looking at situations and our circumstances to just see how best can we keep on making changes that resonate with the academics. And this is what we've been doing over the years. So the changes that happened over the years were necessitated because of various things. For instance, time constraints was one of the drivers for change. Here, because of the success that we have had, we realized that we just do not have time to cover all that we want to cover with the students. So we looked at how can we make some changes to make sure that we can deliver what we want to deliver within the time that we have. Then the other driver for change was resources. Just like many other libraries, we do not have the luxury of employing so many librarians to just teach. they teach, amongst other duties that they do in the library. So we made some changes because of the dwindling staffing levels within the library services. So we had to make changes to accommodate that. And some of the changes also came about because of changes in personnel. Obviously, each librarian who teaches, they kind of bring in their own personal flavor to how they teach. So that was also accommodated in our in the changes that we did over the years, so that those who will be teaching, they'll be guided by the course outline, but they need to kind of include their own slant into the teaching. Then attitude of partner academic staff. This is very crucial when you are running an information literacy program. Obviously, you need to identify believers or adapters of what you are trying to achieve. So we did identify some academics who believed in what we were selling them in terms of information literacies, and these were supporting us, and they were also selling the information literacy to their colleagues. And we did talk to them to see how can we make changes to deliver our sessions so that they become effective in terms of helping students to achieve their desired outcomes for those particular courses that they were delivering. Then another driver for change was trends, either professional trends or social trends. And this, for example, happened when we looked at how our colleagues, professional colleagues in Ireland and everywhere, were actually delivering their information literacies, and we made changes according to that. And another big change came for us during the American presidential elections. Fake news was the in thing. And over the years, we had dropped evaluation of information sources from our information literacy programs because of various things. But then during the American presidential elections, it came to the fore that there was so much fake news going around, and students were also actually falling prey to using fake information sources for their assignments. So that social trend forced us to make changes to accommodate some changes. Then pedagogical reasons. Over the years, we have been looking at the best learning and teaching practices that we can adapt as librarians, and this resulted in librarians in the DIT going for CPDs on teaching and learning, or going for full learning and teaching qualifications. And this has had a huge bearing on how we interact with our students as well as the staff within the College of Business, and did help mold the path for our information literacy. Then student performance also did help us to make some changes. How did the students fare in the classes that we deliver previously? What changes could we implement now based on what they came up with? And this resulted in us taking student feedback on board, because students were saying, what's in it for me in terms of information literacy? So they wanted to see something that they can actually get out of the information literacy. So based on that, we did make some changes which have been very effective. So just to kind of show you some of the changes that have happened over the years, we have looked at a number of sessions. They started off as 7, then over the years we reduced them depending on circumstances, modified them, adapted new things and all that. Then we also looked at things that suited our situations and circumstances. What is the best thing that we could do for this particular time? And we've also made some changes in terms of assessment. Previously, we were not involved at all, but now we are involved in full assessment because we responded to the needs for students to show something that they can get out of these sessions. Then lastly, just to wrap up, I'm running out of time, the mode of delivery has been changed from just a lecture, a talk, to a blended learning approach. And again, that has been informed by the learning and teaching qualifications that the librarians in the DIT have got over the years. And this has actually shown us that we haven't arrived at the promised land in terms of being a perfectionist as librarians. We keep on changing to suit circumstances and events that are taking place and shaping our information literacy. That's why we are saying if we strive for excellency, we are motivated to do good, but if we look for perfection as librarians, we might end up being demoralized because it is a mirage that we'll never touch. We just kind of keep on seeing it in the horizon. That's me done. Mogat.